Okay, in this video, I am going to configure my Verify Access appliance to have a proper certificate because right now we're getting this error. So it's saying yes, yes, yes. There's an issue with it. That's fine. What do I have to do? This is unsafe. Yeah, you got to type in "this is unsafe," and it will bypass that. I don't think you have to do that if you go by localhost or by the IP address, maybe. But anyways, regardless, we are here now. The virtual appliance itself has no capability to generate certificates or private keys and certificate requests. So we're going to have to do this on the command line. So on this system, I've installed a program called GSKit. That's the IBM Global Security Kit. It's kind of like their version of OpenSSL. And I'm going to open a command prompt here. And I'm going to set a whole bunch of variables. And I'll just cut and paste them in, and I'll explain them as we go along. So I'm setting the host name that's going to be used for the certificate. So that's lab3 VA01, which is for my Verify Access machine. The key store itself is going to be located in C:\certs, which is where I'm just temporarily storing everything. Right now there's nothing, but it's going to create something called lab3 VA01.kdb. I'm setting the fully qualified domain name for that. I'm setting the host name, I'm setting the label as the host name. The key label is basically just if you have multiple keys in the key store, this helps you identify which key you're referring to. The certificate sign-in request is going to go into this file here. And once the certificate request is signed, it's going to generate a certificate and it's going to expect it here. All right, so the next thing we need to do is we need to actually generate a certificate, first we need to generate a key store. So we're going to use the GSK8 cap ICMD _64. It's kind of a mouthful, but that's the command you type in. And we're going to create a key database. The database location is going to be with the value in key store. Password is going to be let me in 123 bang. We're going to stash that. So you're going to see a stash file also created. The file format is going to be PKCS12 because by default, some versions of GSKit don't have that as the default. And then we ran into some issues on a particular project. And so I like to use this PQC false. Feel free to look that up on your own time. All right, so we have created that. As you can see, there's two. There's the actual key database, and then this is the stash file. So that contains an obfuscated version of the password, just so you don't have to type that in all the time. It's handy if you want to do unattended restarts of web servers, for example, stuff like that. All right, next thing we're going to do is generate the key pair. So this is going to create a certificate request, but it also is going to generate the key pair. It's going to put it in that database. We actually don't need that password here if we specified -stash. So we could replace that with stash or stashed. We give it the label. The target is where it's going to output the CSR. We're giving it the size of the key and the algorithm. We're giving it the distinguished name, which is the fully qualified domain name. We also have to give it what's called a SAN, a subject alternate name. If you don't do this, while the certificate request will generate properly and you can get it signed and you can install it, the web browsers will reject it. So you need that in there. All right, now we go to our local domain controller, which happens to be this system anyway. So we're going to request a certificate. It's going to be an advanced certificate request. We're going to open up that CSR file. It's just a text file. We're going to copy that and we're going to paste it into this field here. make sure to switch this to web server as the certificate template. Otherwise, it's not going to work properly. Submit that. I like base 64 encoding. Call me old-fashioned. Download the certificate. If for some reason you need or you have a certificate chain set up, download the certificate chain instead. And we don't do that in this lab, so it shouldn't be an issue. Now, I want to rename that to Lab 3 VA01. And then I'm going to move that into the certificate store. Or sorry, into the certificate directory. Lots of different terminology here. Next thing we're going to do is go back to the command line. Oh, actually, sorry. Next thing we're going to do is we need to also download from the CA here. We need to download the CA certificate itself. Base 64, download CA. Open that. We're going to call this root CA. And we're also going to move that into the certs directory. Great. So let's have a look there. Okay. Now, the reason we did that for the root CA is because since our certificate was signed by that root CA, we cannot import that certificate into the key store unless that root CA is also in there. It's a security feature. It's going to say, if you don't have the root CA in that key store, it's going to say, no, this is an invalid certificate. I'm not importing it. So what we're doing here is we're saying add a new certificate into that key store. Use the stashed password. Use this rootca.cert, and we're going to label this as lab rootca. So there's a perfect example of multiple certificates in the same key store. Next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to receive the certificate that was signed by that CA. And we're going to put that into the key store using the stashed file again. And we're looking in the cert path, which is this lab3va1.cer. And you'll notice there's nothing being put out. GSKit only puts out error messages. So as long as you're not seeing anything, everything is good. Now we can confirm that with the GSKit list certificates. So we see our lab root CA and we see the verify access certificate. We can also see a detailed listing of that doing the scroll up, switching list to detail. Sorry, details. Oh, I typed that in wrong apparently. Let's try this one more time. Oh, I forgot the key label. You need the key label. So that'll spit that out, and you should see at the bottom, trusted status equals enabled. So that's great. We are ready to do that. So let's go back to the verify access appliance. We'll log in as an administrator. And we're going to have to accept that. And this is unsafe. I don't know why it makes you do that. It's a lot of work. But anyways, let's go to System, Management SSL Certificate. So from here, we're going to click Update. And by the way, we can see that the issuer is itself, so self-signed certificate we need to replace. So we click Update, and we're going to browse to that KDB file that we just created, the lab3va01. And we're going to give it the password because you can't read the stash file through a browser apparently. And we're going to click Update. And then we're going to click Review Pending Changes. And we're going to deploy that. Now we're going to get that message that says the LMI is basically restarting. So we're going to wait for that. And I just shut down the browser just to make sure it's not caching anything. Let's bring that back up. Now we go to lab3va01. And now we're no longer getting an error. So we've successfully updated the management certificate. That's it for this video.